Welcome to the Vergecast, the flagship podcast of Techtember and Techtober and Techvember and Techsember and all of the other months to come. It's about to get wild in the tech world, y'all, and we're going to be here for all of it. Alex Cranz is still here. Hi, Alex.
Hi. What about to lie?
To lie? No, if we have to lie, we're never going to make it to Techtember. Don't do this to me. Richard Lawler's here. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
I just want you to know that both I and everyone who listens to the Vergecast prefers you to Nilay. So I would just say this is an enormous upgrade over what we had just before the break.
I get that a lot.
What's your take on bananas?
How many times have you done surgery on a banana?
I guarantee no bananas takes.
You don't have any takes on bananas? Now I feel obligated to press on this theory. You don't have any takes on bananas?
Riley's banana shakes? Yes. Bananas, no.
That's good.
Fair
That's
enough. Good. I can't argue with that. So we have a lot to cover. This is like the last week of summer. It's about to truly get bonkers in the tech world. Like we have this big run of events about to happen. So this was kind of a mix of leaks and information about what's coming this fall, plus the last of this like grab bag of news we've been talking about all summer. Like, get all your stuff out before Apple announces the iPhone event, because basically as soon as that happens, like, it is the fall and chaos reigns forever. So we're going to go through a lot. I kind of think IFA is now the most interesting tech trade show in the world. Like, CES has kind of gone away from me, but IFA is pretty cool.
Would agree.
So we have a lot to get through. But the first thing I want to do is talk about some of the stuff that's coming this fall. And before we were coming into this, I made a list of all of the events of like the next 6 weeks. And can I just read them to you? And I need you all to feel the feelings that it made me feel to write this list down. Are you guys ready?
Do I need like a drink first?
You're going to need several drinks during and after. Take a shot for every time you're going to have to work too much in the next 6 weeks.
You'll die.
Okay, here's what we have. IFA is happening right now. The Toronto International Film Festival, which is a surprisingly cool source of movies, especially like smaller stuff you might not have heard of, starts September 7th. The Apple event, where we're going to see the iPhone 15, is on September 12th. The Detroit Auto Show is on September 13th. Amazon is having an event, presumably one of those where they just launched 200 things that run Alexa, on September 20th. The next day, on the 21st, Microsoft is having an event, probably some Surfaces. The Code Conference, which we're obviously a huge part of, starts on September 26th. Meta Connect is on September 27th. We're going to see the Quest 3. There's a Google event. We're probably going to see the Pixel 8 on October 4th. And then the next day, on October 5th, is Samsung's developer conference, where I assume they'll just like talk about Bixby a bunch. And that's just between now and the first week of October. So like, for all the people who write to the Vergecast email and are like, hey, can you talk more about gadgets? Like, oh boy, it's coming. It's coming, y'all. We miss the gadgets too. And they're about to come back with a true vengeance. Are we like, is this good? Are we excited about this?
I'm always excited about this time of year. Because I like all the travel, I like the hustle and bustle, I like how you're just moving, and then like Thanksgiving comes and you're like, there's just an off switch. And you just stop functioning for a week, ideally. And that's really, really nice. Like, and you just get all these cool things to play with for a month and a half. And that's fun. I like that. I like playing with all this stuff. I wish there were more like things that I really enjoy, like not phones, but I'm still excited. Like, I want e-readers and weird tablets.
Yeah, real lack of Kobo events this fall for Cranz.
Yes, where are the Kobo events, okay? Where's the Nook event? Like, I want a Samsung event, but I just want it to be TVs and speakers. That's it. And I don't want to have to wait till January for that.
I'm imagining a Nook launch is just like one person at a Barnes & Noble who like spots the new Nook on a shelf and is like, oh, look, a new Nook. And then the CEO just bursts out from a display of books and is like, we made it for you. Barnes
With
&
like
Noble.
some music playing, like the lights start changing.
Exactly.
But they're like, if you want to get some snacks, they're right in the back.
At the
great.
knockoff Starbucks that we put back there in every one of our stores. I don't know. Richard, how do you feel about this?
Well, and I love that. And I love the events, the pace of it, not so much the travel, covering them from at home, much better. But also, it's the time when all of that stuff that came out at CES and that was announced really early in the year, then you never heard about it again, and companies acted like they never announced it at all. When you ask them, they're like, what's that? I would remember if we had said that, but I don't. Now it's coming up. Like Samsung's like, oh yeah, remember we launched 200 gaming monitors and we said that they were going to be released. Now you can actually buy them maybe. They might be at your local Best Buy. So there's kind of both parts. You have these announcements of products that are about to come out and will be out very soon. And you also have these things that you've been waiting for so long that you probably forgot about them. But here they are.
That's true. The thing that precedes all of this actually is like back to school season, which we've been in the throes of for like 3 weeks now. And that's when everybody who's like selling large TVs and large computer monitors and like wants to sell you a thing with gaming lights on it, like back to school season is their sweet spot. So we've been in this, like, remember that thing you heard about at CES space for the last few weeks. And I agree, it's been delightful. Samsung being like, remember that big screen we told you about? Look at it. Here it is. I love it. I'm in on that.
You put it outside, it's great. It's bright. Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to have plenty of time over the next 6 weeks to cover all of this stuff. So we're just going to like lightning round it for now. We pulled out a bunch of stuff that's happening this fall. We each picked one, and we're just going to talk about it for a little bit here now. Just kind of what's on our mind as a little preview as we go into the fall. Richard, what'd you pick?
The Pixel 8. First of all, Google just can't stop leaking its own phones. The Pixel 8 Pro showed up on Google's store website a little bit early. Fortunately, we didn't have to wonder whether or not it was the Pixel 8 Pro or not, because it had some alt text that very clearly described it as the Pixel 8 Pro.
This is
and
definitely
the guy in the
deliberate.
picture is also probably wearing a new Pixel watch, if you take a look closely.
It has to be deliberate. They did the alt text. Like, you don't mess that up.
It might be, but they also have a track record of doing this that's so long that they might just be that incompetent. It's the perfect crime.
What if that's actually not incompetence? What if that's the plan? Like, it's always been the plan. So everybody's like, oh man, they always leak. What's it going to be this time? I'll get excited this time. I don't think it's a good plan, but like, I think it could be the plan.
Was it last year with the Pixel 7 that Google ended up just tweeting out like, yeah, here it is. Like weeks ahead of the launch. They were just like, yeah, you've seen it enough times. Here it is. Enjoy. I think that was last year.
I can't remember if that was the 7 or the 7A, but I think you're right. That was the 7. They were just like, yeah, look, you know what it is. We know.
Like it looks like the last one. Whatever.
The bad news, unfortunately, this week about the Pixel is, if you bought a Pixel 6 and you subscribed to Pixel Pass, like I did, thinking that you'd be able to easily upgrade because Google said you would be able to. They said you would. You won't. You couldn't upgrade for 2 years. It was locked. You would have to wait 2 years to upgrade to a new device. It is now 1 year and about 10 and a half months. And Google says, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. The Pixel Pass is over.
Do you feel bait and switched?
I feel bait and something. I don't know switched exactly.
Yeah, because before we started recording, you were like, I'm not that upset about it. But you're like, walk me through that. Why aren't you that upset about it?
Well, there's kind of two parts to it. What people paid for, what I paid for, I got. I bought a phone that I paid for over the course of several months. Also paid a kind of bundle discounted price for a bunch of services like cloud storage that I don't really use, YouTube Music that I do use, YouTube Premium. It's pretty nice to forget that YouTube has ads. Got all that. And even after the Pixel Pass goes away, they'll still have a discounted rate for those services. And also insurance for the phone and stuff like that. Like it was all in one thing. Sweet. But when they announced it, they said that it was going to give you easy device upgrades. And you could do it after 2 years. And now no one will get that. Like, it's not even like they're cutting it off and some people took advantage, some people didn't. Zero. There is zero of that. Which you can still get like a 0% APR phone if you want to get it like and pay it over the course of months or something, but you just can't do this package again.
I think you're way underselling this. I think this is outrageous. Like, I honestly believe this is one of the like crueler and more cynical things Google has done in a series of cruel and cynical things to people who bought its products and cared about them. Like, to say to people, and they framed this in the course of building up the Pixel over the years as like another way to believe that Google is going to continue to care about its hardware, right? Like, it has said over and over for years now, like, we are in this for real. We are going to take care of customers. We're going to keep giving you reasons to be part of this. We're going to keep making the deals better, on and on and on. And this is like the most deliberate, shitty rug pull of a move I can imagine. Even if everyone more or less, like you're saying, comes out of it whole, which I actually don't really think is true, because I think there are a lot of people who are now going to go through much more messy and complicated upgrade programs than it would have been if I could have just clicked a button and shipped my thing to Google and gotten a new phone. Like that's a win in a way that like even if I have to go to my carrier store and do a trade-in is more complicated. So even just making it harder is a loss. But I just think like from a pure like showing people you don't care about them move, this is such a crappy thing for Google to do.
And the people who are the most dedicated to the brand, like probably the biggest Pixel fans who were like, okay, yeah, I'll get one. And then 2 years from now, I'll get another one. I'm willing to sign up. Let me do it.
I think it's a mischaracterization to call you guys the biggest Pixel fans. I think just Pixel fans.
Who's a bigger Pixel fan?
No, but like, are there like,
I'll fight them.
Are there people is there anything above a Pixel fan? I think like being a Pixel fan in itself makes you a big Pixel fan.
So you're saying like there is no such thing as a small Pixel fan?
Yeah, there's no such thing as a small Pixel fan. Like you have to have passion.
There are no small Pixel fans, only small people.
Like it's like e-ink. There's no such thing as a small e-ink fan. Like you can't be like, oh, that's I'm not a big e-ink fan. I'm an e-ink fan because there's not a lot of us. There's not enough of us for there to be like big ones and little ones.
No, you know what? I think there are kind of Pixel casuals.
Okay.
As it were.
Who are the Pixel casuals?
And many of them may have picked up the Pixel Pass because again, it was a pretty good deal, and a decent way to buy a phone. It was like, oh, you can click a button and you can get all the things in one thing. Not your carrier, you can go bring that how you want, or you could get Google Fi and get another $5 off. But now those people are just, not happening.
I think it's just like was just super. I don't know. I know you're processing it, and I know you're in a place where you're like, it's fine, it's chill. But I really hope like next week we come back and we're like, Richard, how are you feeling about it? I hope you're like mad because I'm so mad on your behalf. I'm just like I'm with David. I'm like they bait and switched y'all. They were like, hey, come and do this. Nah, psych. We don't give a crap about you guys. We're not even gonna last 2 years. Like it feels like disingenuous marketing. It just feels gross. And I'm sad.
Believing that Google would actually come through on something that they promised is basically doing it to yourself. That's.
You're like, I can't be mad. I should have known better.
I've got to take the L on that one. I just should have seen that coming. That was not a 5,000 IQ play.
It really is like terrifying how true that is. Like I wrote a thing, I think it was last week, about Google Keep, their note-taking app, which has gotten a couple of like really nice upgrades. It's a good app. It's kind of a thing people don't like know or use, but the people who do really love it because it's a really good, simple note-taking app. And like overwhelmingly the comments on the story were like, don't talk about Keep. Google will remember it exists and kill it. Like if a Google executive reads this, the one engineer who is still building features will get fired and they'll kill this app. And it's like, that's how people think about this stuff. Like we literally cannot have nice things from Google anymore because it just ruthlessly kills all of them. And I think if I'm the hardware team, they're still in this position of people don't believe them that they're serious, and with good reason and lots of evidence. And so like, if I was Google, I would have gone way out of my way to say this thing is going to continue to exist. Where even if we can't think of a way to make it worthwhile for the people who already got it, even if they've already been made whole, we're going to come up with something new because what we need you to do is be loyal to us and trust that we're going to be loyal to you. And instead they're just like, never mind, you get YouTube.
I feel like I had this exact conversation 2 years ago with Dieter on the Vergecast about like when that Pixel 6 came out, because that was the big moment where that was what the fourth iteration of, no, we really care about hardware now. This is the moment. And we were like, okay. And they did the Pixel Pass and it's like, okay, they feel like and then they pulled the rug again. So it's like, how do you build that trust? You keep like destroying that trust. Every time you get a little bit of it, you go and you like poop on it and say, oh, Pixel fans, the 12 of you that exist, including Richard, like, get out of here. We don't like you. But like, how do you, I just don't see how they come back from this.
Well, I think the writing really was on the wall, because when you look at like when the Pixel Fold came out and people asked about the Pixel Pass, they were told basically the same language that they announced this week, that not so much happening. And I think that's part of what makes it worse, is that they could have announced this 6 months ago. But people were like, people were sitting back. They saw the rumors. They were like, oh, Pixel 8 is coming out. I'll just be able to get that. Check. No, you will not.
you have felt better if they'd done it 6 months ago? If they just like, so you could have like prepared emotionally?
Yes, emotionally, yes. I could have healed a little.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. We're gonna have a lot of time to yell at Google between now and October. Do we know anything about the 8 Pro yet? By the way, Richard, is there any? We saw the one picture in the ad. Are there like
yes? We've seen lots of pictures. We've seen
Okay.
renders. We've seen specs. There's rumors that it'll have Wi-Fi 7. It'll probably still have the same. The FCC filings came out this week also, so we know that it's basically like the previous ones, where like the Pro has ultra wideband, but the regular one does not. We've seen kind of hardware specs about the chips. It's a Pixel. You know how these go. The real question is like, what are the software features going to be? And there's been leaks of something like video unblur, so just like photo unblur, but for videos.
That's cool. I just want to say I was out sick for the last 2 days, and somehow Wi-Fi 7 happened while I was gone for 2 days. So that's cool and fun. And I'll catch up on that over here. But I do think I'm actually more interested in the Pixel than the iPhone this year, because like Google has been saying this thing about like on-device AI for years now, and this seems like one of the first years that if it wants to do some like really genuinely wild on-device AI stuff, it might actually be able to. So I think that's going to be very interesting. But again, we have lots of time to talk about that. I'm going to go next because I want to talk about Taylor Swift, and Cranz, you can go last. Okay. The true event of the fall, I think we can agree, is that Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is coming to AMC theaters across the country in October. As far as I know, at least from what I've seen so far, this is all kind of just happening. We don't know for how long. We just know that they're doing at least 4 showings a day at every theater, and that AMC has upgraded its ticket capabilities for 5 times as much demand as it has had before, because of all the Swifties who did or did not get tickets to the Eras Tour. I honestly believe this might be like the biggest movie of all time, if it was allowed to be.
It's a like concert movie, right? It's not live streams.
Yeah, so from just like the little tiny bits I've seen, you can see some snippets on like Taylor Swift's TikTok account was I think where I saw it. It looks basically like a super well-produced concert film.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
That sounds great.
It sounds amazing. And you get to see it in like a gigantic theater with, cool surround sound, and it'll be a million Swifties. Like they even said, bring the friendship bracelets, dress in all the Eras stuff.
Aww.
Like you better believe I will be there giving people bracelets.
I won't be there, but I will support all of you. Are there Verge Swifties besides you and Nilay?
I think sneakily like 2/3 of the Verge is Swifties. I know at least a couple of people tried and failed multiple times to get Eras tickets. Richard is being suspiciously quiet, which makes me think he's definitely a Swiftie for sure.
I was like, look at Richard's off looking in a corner. Richard?
Yeah, I just don't know what's going on here. I'm very happy for you, though.
The cultural event of the summer and fall and winter and the rest of our
I'm
lives. This movie might be in theaters for a decade, Richard.
She fixed the economy. Like they keep being like, oh yeah, the Eras Tour increased spending. Like it fixed the economy. I don't think it fixed the economy, but it increased spending. What if she like lowers the rent? What if she like changes the world with this tour? I fully believe in her economic prowess.
Oh, I agree. At some point, when the Eras Tour ends, we're gonna find somebody fun to talk to about this, and we're gonna go through like the insane, like stratospheric records that this tour has set, and nothing will ever top it ever again. And like the things she has, it's insane and wild, and I'm very excited about this movie. And that's all. Everybody, you probably can't get tickets if you're hearing this now.
Well, it created congressional hearings about Ticketmaster.
Oh yeah, well yeah. She broke Ticketmaster. She's going to make AMC the most valuable company in the universe now. She runs the economy. This is what it is. All right, Cranz, you're up. What do you got?
Okay, iPhone's coming 2 weeks. I'm really mad. I bought an iPhone 14 Pro last year, and I was really excited about it. And I was like, I'll be fine. I don't need the next one. And now the next one sounds like it's almost definitely going to have USB-C, and the FOMO is extreme for me at the moment. And like, I'm locked into this payment plan for another year. So it's not like I'm cheap. I'm not going to be going and buying it, but I'm going to be regretting my life choices a lot.
You didn't get the iPhone upgrade plan?
Like come 2 weeks from now. No.
You got to get the upgrade plan.
I want to pay in cash because it didn't work with my Apple Pay card, I think. And I want my 3%.
I like imagining that you just walk in with a bag of nickels and just like throw it on the desk in the Apple store, and you're like, give me an iPhone.
I just whip it across the Genius bar at them.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. But I like it seems exciting. I don't know. iPhones are kind of weird in a weird place, right? Like they're in a weird place. Last year, the exciting thing was the dynamic island. And we enjoyed the island, but
Sure.
try explaining to anyone who doesn't listen to the Vergecast what the dynamic island is. And that's a less fun conversation.
Yeah, they'll just say it's that thing at the top of the screen that screws up all the apps sometimes.
Yeah, they're just kind of annoyed with you. But like USB-C, I'm like beyond excited about USB-C. I just got a new USB-C charger from Anchor, and I'm so like it charges my phone, or not my phone. It charges like my computer. It charges my Steam Deck. It charges just everything I own that I can plug USB-C into, and it's wonderful. And I'm like, oh, I want my phone to do that too. That seems cool. So USB-C alone has me pumped for it. And we're getting USB-C on the AirPod case. I'm not going to buy it because, again, like if my phone doesn't do USB-C, I refuse to let my AirPods case do USB-C. It has to wait in line, but this is like exciting. If you like USB-C, it's going to be a big event. If you like anything else, it's going to be an iPhone event.
Well, also, if you like wireless charging, the big news at IFA is these wireless chargers that are getting announced with the Qi 2 standard that the iPhone 15 may support. I guess we'll find out. And allow kind of non-MagSafe chargers to charge iPhones at the same rate as MagSafe. And also, kind of other devices, other phones that support 15-watt wireless charging. So if you like wireless charging, this is your moment.
Oh, I got a wireless charger too. I spent like $150. Game changer.
Or if you want to buy a new charging stand or something like that, don't for like the next couple of months.
Don't be me. I bought it last month. I do not read our website enough is what happened there. A lot of regret.
I was talking to somebody at one of the charging companies the other day, and they were basically saying that the USB-C thing is cool, but it's a mirage because wireless is the real thing. That it's like the actual arc that we're on is wireless charging taking over. And it would have been great if USB-C had been ready, 12 years ago, and we could have just gone straight to that. But we didn't, and that's fine. But where we're actually headed, and I think where Apple has pretty clearly been wanting to head for a long time, is wireless charging. Wireless charging is mostly still very bad and not as good or fast as wired charging. So I think we still have a ways to go. But I agree. I think especially some of the stuff we're seeing at IFA that we're going to talk about a little later is pretty exciting. Richard, do you care about this iPhone? Convince me to care about this iPhone.
Wait, I had more things to convince you about the iPhone.
Oh, you're not done. Okay. You didn't talk about the action button.
I'm not done. Yeah, I was about to say the action button. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world, and I'm not excited about the action button because I would be excited about the action button if it didn't replace the mute button. And like, if I'm just going to have to program it to be the mute button, then it's not an action button. It's just a mute button that I had to like do an extra step to make a mute button. I want both.
Straight up had to look at my phone to see if it still had a mute button. That thing has been on mute since the minute I took it out of the package, and I have not touched it since. Anyone who lets their phone ring loud is 75 years old. That's blanket rule of the universe.
Exactly.
If your phone rings, you are 100 years old.
And don't you like being able to just go, oh, is it on mute? Take a quick look or like reach into your pocket and go and kind of hit the little switch while you're walking down the street and be like, yeah, it's on mute. I want that. I like that. I don't want to have to like pull my phone out and be like, mute. Or pull my phone out, program the mute button, and then hit mute.
You don't miss the art of ringtones?
They're trying to bring ringtones back by getting rid of the mute button.
No, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they're killing it forever. It's like your phone can no longer make noise when it rings. Would be like truly Apple's most innovative feature in years.
They have to go to my mother's house and explain that to her. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not letting anyone at Apple itself. Tim Cook has to fly to my mother's house and explain to her why her phone doesn't ring anymore.
Does your mom have the ringtone that rings like an old-timey phone? My mother-in-law has that ringtone, and it drives me nuts.
Oh, yeah. She's got the ringtone, and she's got it on her watch, too, which she answers in the supermarket, I learned. So sorry to all the HEB shoppers of Texas for having to listen to all of my conversations with my mom while she's picking up groceries.
Amazing.
It's great.
Amazing. All right, before we go to break, Alex, you wrote down one other one in the fall things coming up that you're excited about. Give us 30 seconds, then we're going.
Yes. Starfield. It's the new Bethesda game. like all other Bethesda games, I think it's going to be stupid. But then I'm reading all the reviews and now I really want to play it. But I also know that like every other Bethesda game, I'm going to play it for 100, 200 hours, never finish it, and tell everybody it sucks. I'm so excited.
So stupid is not the word you're looking for here.
It's going to be stupid. It's going to be like the characters look stupid. I feel stupid playing it because I'm like, oh, you all look dumb. Like the Bethesda characters look dumb, and that's a bummer. And so far, that seems to be the case for this game as well. But also, I want to travel around delivering coffee in space. That seems cool. I don't want to do that in real life, but I want to do that in space.
Richard's just like, if it's not Overwatch, don't even talk to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want another games as a service shooter. Just something I can play in 15-minute increments.
You just want to play Redfall forever. Like, that's all Richard does.
If it weren't so terrible, if it were just any slight bit less terrible, I would be playing it right now.
I like it. All right, we got to take a break,
Yes.
and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about all the other mishmash of nonsense happening in the tech world this week. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So lots of little news this week. There was some Threads news. It seems like we're getting search. Sony raised the prices on PlayStation Plus. We've got some X doing sketchy stuff. I don't really want to talk about that anymore. Wireless carriers doing weird stuff again. Call of Duty using AI to moderate voice chats, which is just America's worst idea in years. Let's just blast through all of this. We can't get to all of this, so let's just lightning round this again. Cranz, you're still on the roll. You get to go first.
I'm so excited. So Dolby just announced this thing. It's called Dolby Atmos Flex Connect. And the name is very stupid. That's okay, because what it could do could potentially be very, very cool, which is that it will automatically like just make your speakers, your wireless speakers, work with your TV, provided they both support Dolby Atmos Flex Connect. And only one of TV will support that in the next year that we know of, and it's from TCL. So it's not going to work with any of your current stuff. And it's probably not going to work with most of your stuff next year. But like 5 years from now, this is gonna be sick as hell, and I'm actually excited about it because like Sonos has done a lot of this stuff in the past. They do the automatic calibration and everything like that, but it's just Sonos, and you have to use Sonos speakers, and you're stuck in that. And this means like, okay, I can go get any speaker, like any wireless speaker I want, and it's gonna bounce, it's gonna take and ping the audio from that speaker. The TV's got its own microphones built in. It's going to receive it, and it's going to go, oh, and fix it all. You don't have to worry about a stupid sound bar because sound bars are bad. I'm sorry. Even though I own one, you don't have to worry about like messing with anything. It should just all work. And for like the last, 20 years, TV audio has not just worked. So that feels appealing. Even though you're still like now going to have to buy additional speakers for your TV, at least it should make it a lot easier and more natural and hopefully cheaper than the Sonos solution, which is why I'm not buying a new iPhone this year.
So the idea seems to be, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I'm genuinely not sure that I am, but if I'm understanding this correctly, it's that you don't have to buy like a full surround sound set. You don't have to buy that one gigantic box at Best Buy. You can sort of bring your own speakers, and essentially as long as they are like compatible with this one Flex Connect spec, Dolby will be able to stitch them all together. You'll be able to put them in a system, and it'll work.
Yeah. That's it. Like theoretically, if Vizio supports this, you can go get those super cheap but decent Vizio speakers, set it all up, and then instead of like getting all weird and finicky and trying to use the not very good super cheap Vizio technology to make the speakers sound good, just have Dolby do it and do it well, and it'll all sound well.
So this seems great. This also seems like a thing that shouldn't be that hard to do and probably should have happened 15 years ago.
Right. Yeah, like Sonos does it now, and Sonos is wildly expensive. The TV companies have not really cared about they haven't cared about this. They haven't needed to, because they're like, okay, for them, there's three like TV buyers, right? There's the people who spend all of their time in AV Forum. it's like me and Eli. Like we're over there, and when we're gonna go buy a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna spend 12 years working on our system, and it's gonna sound beautiful. And people will ask us how much we spent, and we'll have to run from the room screaming and saying, "You don't need to know that." That's us. Then there's like me a couple of years ago, and a lot of people, probably most people listening to this, who are like, I want speakers that sound good. So you go and you buy some speakers, they're Sonos or Vizio or whatever, and you plug them into your TV, and it sounds reasonably good. Probably not as good as any CRT TV you had 20 years ago, but decent. And then there's everybody else who doesn't listen to the Vergecast and doesn't know that all speakers and TVs suck, because speakers require space and TVs don't give them any. And so they go and they buy a TV and they're like, wow, the speakers suck. So they turn the volume way up, they turn on the subtitles, and they're just like, why can't I hear anything anymore? And while part of that is definitely the fault of Hollywood, so much of it is the fault of bad TV makers not caring. And they're like, well, if you care that much, go be one of those people who buys speakers from us and puts them in the back. We don't care enough to like make it nice, but do it.
There was this post I saw, I forget which social platform it was on. There's too many of them at this point. But there was somebody who was like, guys, you don't even know. The reason you think Netflix sounds so bad is because by default, its sound is turned to 5.1. And if you are using your built-in speakers, that means you're not getting the right ones. Just go and switch it to stereo and everything will be amazing. And this post went like hugely viral. And everybody was like, oh my God, you've solved it. And I was just like, my guy, like this ain't it. You didn't do it. You just had a setting wrong on your Netflix. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That is not it. And also you're going to put it on stereo and you're going to be like, oh, now it sounds bad in stereo.
From two sides instead of five.
I don't know. Richard, you're a guy who lives in AV forums and owns 30 or 40 televisions. Does this idea excite you?
I think it sounds great from the idea that, okay, so you can just go get some speakers and press the button and it'll say, all right, I'll get the sound figured out. And that's kind of always been the promise of Atmos, is that they've programmed in the sound so it doesn't need like, okay, so how many channels do you have? Do you have 2 channels? Do you have 2.1? Do you have 5.1? Do you have 7.1? Do you have 9.1?
8.2.
No, I have some speakers. Do it for me.
Yeah.
And you'll do it. Also, they have never gotten surround sound audio right, ever, at any point. It has never been seamless. It has never worked the way that it should. So I don't know why we should expect that it will. And
I'm an optimist
I think
at
this
heart,
could.
Richard.
Like,
let me be
the thing is,
optimistic.
the technology exists. Like, this should be possible. This is the kind of thing that, like, with a microphone in the TV, with speakers with the right technology, you could do it. I'm sure that it will make Dolby money as they get licensing fees from all the speakers that are now compatible. How long it'll be until I can use this in my own living room, I'm not so sure.
Well, you know, if it sucks, which it very well could, but it's a good idea, somebody else could go like and be like, oh, like Vizio could just go and do that.
Well, it'll be DTS, not Flex Connect.
Yeah. DTS Flux Connect.
Perfect. Yeah, I always think about like the Ultimate Ears Boom series are like the best Bluetooth speakers on the planet. And one of the things that they've done really well is you can actually daisy chain a bunch of them together. And it's not terribly complicated. It just like synchronizes the sound coming out of a bunch of speakers, right? So if you have a big house and you don't want to rig up a whole speaker system, you can just put 4 Bluetooth speakers around the house, sync them all together, and it plays. And the fact that alone is like an innovative feature in speakers is bananas. Like, you can do this with Bluetooth, you can do this with Wi-Fi. Like, this is not a complicated technological problem. We've done much harder things than make speakers play. And I think, like, to Richard's point about, you know, a million different kinds of surround sound, none of them that have ever been done very well, I think just the fact that it's as difficult as it is to buy like 2 pretty good speakers, stick them on the either side of your television and have it work is nuts. Like, that's the reason I tell people to buy soundbars, because you don't have to program it. You know where it goes. Just don't worry about it. Even buying 2 speakers ends up being more work than it's worth for not that much better sound most of the time. So I think the idea that it's going to like perfectly correctly tune your room, I agree. I don't trust, but I really hope it works. Like, I super, super, super hope it works, because it would be awesome.
5 years from now, it'll be cheaper than Sonos and not as good, but better than nothing, which is the entire story of home theater audio at this point.
As is, Dolby almost got it right. That's like That's Dolby's slogan. Like we almost got it this time.
No, we're gonna write it the last second. Screw it up. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Richard, what's your next one?
Yeah, my thing is Google's Duet AI becoming available in Docs and Gmail and other workspace apps. You reported on this week. I want to hear more from you about the people you talked to and all the things they said. But what strikes me is the price. We saw this with the Microsoft Bing AI and then making it available in Microsoft 365. And it looks like Google's going about the same way. They're charging, it looks like $30 per person per month. And as soon as I saw that with the Microsoft thing, and now I see it with Google, I understand why they're pushing AI so hard, because they're going to make a lot of money from it. The bad news is that the companies who buy it, they're probably going to want to save money somewhere else. Whether or not these AI tools actually work or make people more productive or do not, they're going to be spending a lot of money on them. So there's going to be cuts somewhere else. And it just seems like that's assured.
Is it $30 per month per head?
User.
Like per account?
Yes.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Hard pass. That's a no for me. It would have to be magic.
Yeah,
well,
like can you just think for a second how good it would have to be to justify that price?
It would have to be magic.
There's a set of people who will just get this because it's useful, and there's a set of these things that I think are like time saving in a way that will actually be meaningful to people, right? Like the idea that I can I don't know, take a Google Doc and say, Duet, turn this into a spreadsheet, and it'll turn it into like a remedial but functional Google Slides deck in 45 seconds is like, there are a lot of people to whom that is worth $30 a month. Easily. There are a lot of people who essentially do that one thing for a living. And I think the question of what happens to those people, to your point, is really interesting and really complicated and probably really messy and bad in the long run for those people. But I tend to agree that I think the number of people for whom there are $30 a month worth of good features in Google Duet is going to be smaller than Google thinks. And I think it's going to be the same with Copilot. That like, if you just give it to people, they'll use it, because having a thing that can, clean up my email grammar or make a graph out of my spreadsheet data for me is useful. And yeah. I would use that if it was just there. But paying what amounts to like 3x the price of Google Workspace for that is super, super, super steep. And I don't know that Google has made a particularly convincing case that this is going to like work. Like we've all used Bard in the last 6 months. I don't really have any reason to believe this thing is going to be as good as they say it is.
Is it going to work with like your calendar?
What do you mean?
Like the only thing I would pay $30 a month for is an AI that just understood and did all my calendar scheduling for me. Like including the polite DMs to people to be like, can I put some time on your calendar? Is this okay? I want it to just do all of that. If it did all of that, I personally would pay $30. I don't know if I could get Vox Media to agree to pay $30, but like, I'd be like, oh, I'll see you'll check. Do that on the side.
There's an app called Motion. I think it's motion.io, that does exactly that. And I think it's like $15 a month.
But is it trustworthy?
I haven't used it in a while, but by all accounts, it's actually pretty good. I hate those apps. Even as a person who is like obsessed with my calendar and spends way too much time like managing the blocks in my calendar. Them. No, because it's like tell us about your flow state and we'll schedule it. And I'm like, I don't know. It like depends on what I ate for lunch that day. Like leave me alone, calendar.
I was like, no, you should just know. Like I basically want an assistant, but it's only $30 a month. I am the problem with the economy. I am why they're all so excited.
You're literally the reason they built Duet AI. Yeah. Here's the best we can do.
But I don't trust it. Like a person, I would be like, hey, don't do that in the future. And they'd be like, yeah, pay me more than $30 a month. And I'd be like, fair. But like, I just can't imagine trusting it. Because when it would screw up, it would probably screw up in the worst way. It would probably like decline an invite from an Apple event, which would be hysterical, and be like, no, you're not going to that. Decline it and be like, you've got to go do your performance review. And I'll be like, no, those are two different things. And one matters more in this moment. Performance reviews always matter, but not on the same day as Apple events.
I don't know. I just think like my initial read of Duet is very much that like, this is clear evidence that Google has not figured out what the killer app for AI is for. And it's the same with Microsoft, where they've come up with a lot of relatively small, mostly useful sounding things that these tools can do without anything that you're immediately like, oh, I need that in my life.
Yeah.
I'm also cognizant of the fact that the three of us do not have real jobs, and that most jobs involve email, spreadsheets, and slide decks. And most people and most companies would be willing to pay a lot of money to make any of those three things slightly more efficient. And like Google's bet is essentially like, okay, if we can make each one of those a little tiny bit better, we can help you write emails faster. We can help you like get more actual data out of your spreadsheet. We can help you make more beautiful decks on deadline. Like that might work.
All they have to do is be like, we'll do the pivot tables and you'll never have to understand what a pivot table is. Like
I
a
think
lot of places would
that's
probably
not
be like,
wrong.
yeah, $30 a month. Never have to learn about a pivot table.
Yeah, and then every just out of business school employee on planet Earth just got fired. Like right as I was saying that sentence, they all lost their jobs.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. If you are a like junior account executive at a marketing company, like you're so screwed. And I'm so sorry.
Fortunately, the thing that will be replacing you, our boss asked Bard, "What's the coolest thing anyone could do?" and received some answers. Some cool
Can you
things
just read
people
the
have
list?
done
It's so good.
include walking to a destination, even if it's 3,000 miles away. Playing World of Warcraft for 100 hours in a week.
Yes, I'm cool.
Being in a movie with Will Smith, pretty cool,
not
pretty cool.
Agreed.
Cool things in the world include chewing gum, skateboards, and co-ord outfits. I don't know what those are. I guess I'm not cool enough.
Yeah.
You're not
But
cool
Bart
enough.
knows.
Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Who knew we were also cool for like 1995 with a chewing gum and a skateboard? We were badasses.
You know, there's a marketing person at like a fashion agency right now who is furiously Googling what is the coolest thing anyone can do and just being like, I would not pay $30 a month for this.
This is it?
And I very much enjoyed that Nilai's, when he posted that, he was like, I can't believe it didn't say a backflip, which is objectively the coolest thing.
It is.
Yeah, it's very good. But I like all of this stuff to me just says none of this is finished yet. And it's kind of wild to see who is willing to pay for this stuff, even though it's at the very, 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 very beginning of whatever it's going to someday be. And who is going to say at the end of their free trial, this is neat, not worth $30 a month per person for my entire company. And if I were a betting man, I would bet on that second thing being a lot more true than either Google or Microsoft think.
How long is the trial?
I don't know.
Because like if it's like a year-long trial, maybe they have a shot. They can take the year to figure out how to make it useful. If it's a 1-month trial, like, yo, what are you doing? You gave Richard more time than you're giving these people. Come on.
I think it might be 30 days. I think that might be how long it is.
I think their bet is that the executive who makes the decision is the person who's going to find it really useful right away. And they'll just say, yeah, we'll sign off on it and we'll fire 100 other people. Doesn't matter how well it works or it does not work. And we just saw this week, I think Walmart announced that they're going to roll out AI for basically all their office employees.
Yeah.
And they didn't say which one they're using or how much they're paying or anything. But I wonder how long they'll stick with it and how many people will continue to have access to it.
It's going to be the Walmart AI. That's what it's going to be called. And they're not going to pay it very well. But it's going to do the job. And then the rest of us will subsidize it.
And there
with
will
our
be
tax
one in your
dollars.
town before you know it.
Yeah, there will be one in every town. It's going to be great. It's going to get rid of all the other little mom and pop AI stores in your town. I'm so sorry.
The AI needs to unionize.
Now that is going to be when this gets really interesting.
The AI labor movement for the AIs themselves.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. My lightning round thing for this segment is I feel obligated to be the one continuing to chronicle the ever consuming normalization of all of these video apps in which they just all slowly become the exact same thing. And the version of this week is that Instagram appears to be working on a version of Instagram Reels that lets you upload videos up to 10 minutes long. Which you can now do on TikTok, which TikTok did in order to be more like YouTube, where people have always been able to watch, longer videos. And people on YouTube, of course, have started making shorter videos for Shorts, which was created to compete with TikTok. Reels was also created to. I could do this forever. The point is, all of these apps are the goddamn same thing now. And
They're
it's
not, though.
driving me nuts. And Alex, I want to get to why you're wrong very shortly here. But the
I'm
last
so
thing I want to
right.
say
It's
about
so
this
right.
is I think 10-minute vertical videos are actually an extremely good idea. One weird thing that I have discovered is that I just really like watching vertical things. Like there's something to the sort of flow of like how you swipe and how you watch and all that stuff. But also like, I think for a long time there was this idea that you can't do as much in a vertical frame. Mm-hmm. And in certain ways that's true, but also like, I don't mind. I've found myself sitting watching longer things on vertical screens than I thought. And like, I'm holding my phone the way I normally hold my phone. And so the idea that like somebody is going to come out and make like a show out of one of these 10 minutes at a time, I actually think is
You mean
not
like
crazy.
like Quibi?
Dude, so I listened to a podcast this week. It's called The Big Flop or something like that.
Oh yeah, I saw about this.
The first episode is about Quibi. And the single wildest take that I will say on this show to this week is that it convinced me that Quibi didn't actually miss by that much.
I would agree, honestly. I remember seeing Quibi at the time and being like, this feels like it could be a really good idea if it's executed well. And then it was just executed terribly and also released at the worst possible moment an app of that nature could have ever been released in the history of the world.
Okay, so that's reasons 2 and 3. Reason 1 is it was called Quibi. Like that's the first thing that ruined Quibi. Like if Quibi had been called Max, it would have had a real chance, right? Like,
And if they hadn't spent $1 trillion on content at the beginning.
on like Flip My Murder House.
The Rachel Brosnahan show where she just, the silver arm.
Yeah.
So good.
But this is what I'm saying. Bring Quibis back as 10-minute reels and I'm into it.
It's a little limiting, but it also is a little bit more focused. And I think people generally do it better. It does work. It has a place. But I kind of lean David's way, Alex. They all just become TV shows eventually.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who's never watched 10-minute videos on YouTube, so I'm not going to watch them on Instagram. I'm not going to watch them on TikTok. I just won't do it. I refuse.
Oh, I watch them on TikTok all the time, but it's the same ones I watch on YouTube, only now they're vertical, and the dude doesn't like trim it to make it vertical. So a lot of times it's just like blank space and you can hear him doing things because he's not in the frame. And I'm like, yes.
It's just like his left hand in the frame, and that's all
you
you
see
can
like just a left hand cutting something and you're like, yeah, this is great. It's so soothing. Because I already watched it on YouTube. But I was going to say, like, there is one big differentiator between all of these. And that is YouTube still does horizontal video and the other ones don't.
I mean, YouTube does.
TikTok does do horizontal video. You can have videos that rotate. Yeah.
I guess I haven't been presented with them. Am I supposed to be watching this guy in horizontal all this time?
If you upload a widescreen video on TikTok, I think it'll like give you the option. So like it depends on how they uploaded it and what they did. But yeah, it definitely can do it.
I have watched so many videos on TikTok that are the little horizontal video in the middle because it's like clip from a YouTube video and then just gigantic letterboxes on top. You're telling me I could have been doing it better this whole time?
I think sometimes they'll like tell you like, hey, turn your phone. What? I'll just be like, yeah.
This is service journalism here at The Verge. Turn your phone.
This is also my favorite TikTok genre is people explaining little known features of TikTok. Like the thing where if you put your thumb on the left side of the screen, it plays at 2x speed. Mind blowing. Yeah. Yeah. Learn how to use TikTok on TikTok. It's like it's like the YouTubers being mad at YouTube. Like that's what they do on TikTok. It's great.
Incredible.
Yeah. All right. We got to take one more break and then we're going to come back and we're going to go through some of the biggest announcements coming out of IFA, the gigantic European gadget show that is happening as we speak. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So none of us is at IFA this year.
No.
John Porter and Jen Tui were there. They did a lot of really great coverage for the site. There's a stream of all the stuff that they found. They went and just had adventures with vacuums and lights and headphones and speakers.
And now they're sleeping.
And now they're sleeping. It really is how it goes. You go, you touch gadgets for 3 days with no sleep or food, and then you drink heavily and go to sleep. And that's pretty much the run of one of those shows. So they are hopefully at this moment in the sleep phase
Not the drinking
of that.
phase.
It's
Maybe
a
both.
win-win. Yeah, it's either way.
Berlin.
But there was a bunch of things going on, but we've kind of figured out how to divide it into three categories of interesting stuff. And Richard, you alluded to one of them earlier. So take us through the like charging world of IFA this year.
Yeah, it's all kind of centered around the iPhone 15 launch because Apple is finally going to release a phone, we think, with a USB-C port, first of all. So Lightning and not tons of docks, tons of chargers, tons of stands that people have. When they get a new phone starting this fall, those won't apply anymore. They're going to need new chargers. They're going to need new things. They're going to need new cables. So, of course, all the companies that make those are just ready with new products. And beyond that, there's also this new standard Qi 2 to replace the wireless Qi standard that, assuming Apple supports it, could allow outside makers chargers to charge iPhones at up to 15 watts, just by touching it.
Which would be like twice what it has been before, right?
Yeah, it was 7.5. If you weren't a MagSafe charger, it was half the rate. So, and these things, they throttle kind of as it goes through the charging. So like, it's not just going to be twice as fast, but it'll be faster and you'll love it. Anker and Belkin are two of the companies that have announced Qi 2 products. One of the things that I noticed about these announcements is that everyone who's announcing Qi 2 products does not have a date for when they'll be released. They don't have a price. They don't really have anything. It's coming later this year, probably maybe early next year for some things, but eventually. And I think we'll probably get a lot more clarity once the iPhone 15 is actually announced. But we've got stuff like battery packs. Anker, they've got it all branded under their MagGo line. They've got new stands. They've got different chargers, different kind of desktop chargers, all kinds of things. And the same thing for Belkin. And I think that this new Qi 2 standard is going to be the kind of thing that you will actually replace several of the chargers that you have probably within your reach or on your desk right now.
I just realized as you were talking that this is kind of about to be the most exciting moment for phone accessories like ever.
That there has ever been.
Yeah, for the first time, if I'm an accessory maker, I can make something that works with your phone, your laptop, your tablet, your other phone, your partner's phone. Like you can build something that is going to work for everything and is going to last, because I think you can reliably assume we're going to be on USB-C at least a few years from now. And so I have a feeling we're about to see like a glut of stuff. And like Lord knows Anker alone is going to make 700 different USB-C products between now and like September 12th.
Yeah. And of course, it's not all, if it's USB-C, it can work with whatever, but they have like a little thing that kind of latches onto the bottom of your iPhone with USB-C. They can't show it connecting to an iPhone yet, but you know what it is. And that's just kind of where we are with those products. So there's going to be even more and even better, I think, kind of charging stuff. So if you're the kind of person who, when it's one of those Amazon deal days or something, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go get some chargers. It's time. It's going to be your time very soon.
Cranz, this must make you so happy.
I'm not happy at all because I just bought so much wireless charging stuff like 2 months ago. I feel so dumb. I'm just like, was like reading all of the news out of IFA being like, rookie move, Cranz. Just
it's every time when the prices are really good and you're like, oh, okay, I'll get it. It's all on sale. I should buy these.
I got that wireless charger / battery from Anker. That thing is great.
The little cube.
Yeah, that like, it's beautiful.
I love that thing.
I love
Yeah.
it. And now I'm like, well, damn it. There's another one and I want that one more because it's got like a little screen.
And it has a screen on it now.
Yeah. I'm like, so if anybody needs a Generation 1 charger, I'm in the market to sell it at cost.
I do wonder if there's going to be like a black market for old chargers and docks going forward. Like all the people who just desperately hold on to their iPhone 8 minis. Like
I'm re-gifting it all
yeah.
to family. Christmas is going to be really crummy for
There you
them
go.
and great for me.
Before we're done with this, I want to make the case for slow wireless chargers. I have the older Pixel stand near my bed. Mm-hmm. Now, see, if you're one of those people who you want to go to sleep and stop using your phone, one way to do that, put the wireless charger out of your reach.
Yes.
So that you have to decide, am I going to put the phone on the stand and let it charge overnight so that it's not empty, and the battery isn't empty when I wake up? Or am I going to use the phone and maybe fall asleep with it in my hand, wake up with a phone on 0, and I don't have a fast charger to charge it up?
That's good.
It's that stress. It will improve your life.
That's smart.
Get yourself a slow charger.
No, Disagree. I really I think the single most like aspirational thing I have done over the years is try to be a person who charges my phone outside of my bedroom. So many times I have tried to be this person. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a stack of like print books and magazines, and that's what I'm going to read before bed. I'm not going to sit here and like scroll Reddit until I fall asleep. And after like 3 days, inevitably, I'm like, how did my charger get right back into my room and next to my bed? And I'm scrolling Reddit again. Like, I don't remember ever putting it back in here, and yet it has arrived. And I swear I've tried this 25 times in my life, and I think it shows real personal growth that I have stopped trying. Like, I think it says a lot about me as a person.
I mean, you're not a very lazy person, so is it just putting it on the other side of because putting it on the charger on the other side of the room, that's enough for me. I'm that lazy that like once it's on there, I'm not getting up. I'm not getting out of bed again.
For me, it's not even the laziness factor. It's like the actual feeling of getting out of bed is so awful that like it's the taking off the covers. Like even if my charger was right there, but I had to take off the covers to get it, I wouldn't do it.
Sometimes there's one time where I did that, but like I like army crawled across the floor with like the covers still on a single foot, being like, ugh.
I'm not technically out of bed.
Yeah, it worked. It was fine. It's fine.
It's very good. It's very good. But yeah, I suspect it's about to be a very, very, very exciting like 6 months in the accessory world. And the other thing I will say is this is just a PSA to everyone now. Don't buy any accessories. Don't buy any accessories the day Apple launches things. Don't buy any accessories the day it ships, because what's going to happen is between now and Christmas, there's going to be this unbelievable glut of cool new stuff that comes out. And it's going to happen really fast because all these companies are already making USB-C stuff. So they're not going to have to get used to a completely new connector. Apple will have some weird tweak to it because it always does. But there's going to be just a run of new things that all these companies are ready for. And so whatever you buy today or tomorrow or on September 12th or September 20, whatever, when the iPhone ships, there will be something in November that is better. And by Black Friday, it will cost $5. So Alex Cranz, stop buying accessories.
And like you were talking, I was like, actually, maybe it was good that I just bought all of this stuff. Because we're not going to be buying. I'm like, I can't. I just bought a new dining room table and 4 like wireless chargers. I'm broke for the next year. Like, it's great.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, you go next, Cranz. What did you look up for IFA?
So there was a lot of smart home stuff, ton of stuff. That's why Jen was there, and she was doing incredible work. A lot of stuff coming out from Philips Hue, who historically just does lights. And if you, like me, are tired of spending so much money on Hue lights, there's a lot of competitors in this space now. There's a ton of other really good lights. I've got some like little candelabra lights. They're beautiful. They do like the pride flag. It doesn't actually look like the pride flag, but in June, I was like, yeah, cool.
Is Hue still the best one, though? I confess I'm slightly behind the times on my own personal smart home gear, but my read was always Hue is the best. It's also twice the price of everything else.
Yeah, like it's like the Apple deal for a long time where you're like, well, sure, I'm paying twice the price, but I can smugly say it works. Can you say that, Richard?
Fair.
In your Windows machine? But
That's hard. That's hard.
Can I say that about my Mac lately? No. But yeah, so it typically just works, but it costs a ton more. Yeah. But there's so much stuff out now in the space that really does also just work. Like I was adding stuff both to Home Assistant and to HomeKit, zero issue, like totally flawless. Even the stuff that some people complain about, like Nanoleaf, can sometimes be a little buggy. Works. And so Hue has a whole bunch of stuff. They've got track lighting now, which is big. That's exciting because oftentimes track lighting you can't replace. Like there's no little bulbs to go in there and replace that Hue probably would make if they could. So you have to get the whole thing. So that's cool. And they got into security cameras, which is a big deal for them. They've just been a company that does lights, and now they're doing security cameras, predictably expensive security cameras.
Yeah. It's very telling to me that that's where they went, actually. That, like, I think it's pretty obvious that if you're a company that wants to do smart home stuff, lights is the place to start, right? It is kind of it's like the gateway drug to the smart home for basically everybody. And it's very interesting to me that after all this time, the Hue team looked around and was like, okay, what's the next thing we want to do? And decided it was security cameras, not like other sensors or weird things for your garage door or things for your car. It's just they're just like security cameras.
Yeah. And these are very expensive. It's got end-to-end encryption. It currently won't work out of the box with Alexa and Google Assistant's home security camera integrations. So you won't be able to just like play it on your little Google speaker anywhere. That kind of sucks. It won't work with HomeKit until Matter starts supporting video for security cameras, because that's the only way it's going to work with HomeKit. It won't work with like HomeKit's secure video platform, which isn't actually very good to begin with. So that's not the worst one. Like that one, you're like, oh, that's kind of sucks, but also I'm fine with that. Or at least I am. But it will work with Matter. And the most exciting part of all the Philips Hue news is it finally is going to start supporting Matter. It's pushing out an update next month. I am unreasonably excited. I've been spending this whole week being like, I cannot DM Jen because she's very busy working, and all I want to do is be like, Jen, this is such a good moment. So I'm like being very patient and waiting until she comes back and gets over her hangover and is having a good time. And then I'm going to just assail her with it. But that's exciting. Like, it's been ages since they promised Matter. And the stuff I use where Matter works is wonderful. I'm in the future. I'm having the best day of my life. I've set up my entire system. Oh, it doesn't work with Matter? I hate everything and everyone. And I want it all to die, especially my robot vacuum cleaner. Yeah.
Which there were also a bunch of at IFA. I just love that robot vacuums are becoming like an outrageously competitive space.
And
there are
good.
so many good robot vacuums out there now. I love it.
This was the first one I'd ever, like, I tried one 10 years ago and it was garbage. And I was like, I'm okay. I can just walk around with a vacuum cleaner like a normal person. And back this summer, somebody was like, oh, go get a robot vacuum cleaner. They're really good now. And this was a person that I trust. And so I was like, you generally aren't stupid. And I went and I got one on sale. And I was like, oh, it's really good now. It, like, my house is just clean. And with a dog, that's not common. So
yeah, they're good now. And now the robot lawnmower industry is booming. I think Jen and John saw one of those.
It's starting to boom. Yeah, she saw a robot lawnmower. The problem with robot lawnmowers is they generally have really crappy range, and American lawns tend to be pretty big. Like there's a lot of space, there's a lot of stuff going on in them, and these weren't doing it very well. They're really meant for those little tiny like postage stamp size lawns in Europe. And so this can do like half an acre, which I would have loved at the age of 13 when I had to hop on the riding lawnmower and like mow the front and the backyard and then the garden. It was the worst time of my life. My family still talks about how much I complained about it. This would have been amazing. I would have like been campaigning for it immediately. So I'm so excited. All you kids out there listening, I know there's a lot of 13-year-olds that listen to the Vergecast, and I know you're very excited about this. Start campaigning now. This is a great Christmas gift for you. Probably not. Your parents will not buy it because it's like $2,000, but aspirational.
Yeah, everybody talks about how like kids are not going to grow up and learn how to drive, and they're going to miss like a key part of life. And I just feel like if your parents never force you to mow the lawn, like you've missed something.
Yeah, you really have.
It's like 111 degrees, and you have a push mower that barely works. And they're like, shut up, we're going to pay you $1. Go mow for 5 hours, David, and then rake all the leaves. It's fine. My childhood is fine.
I hated the leaves.
It's fine.
It's the worst.
The
Look,
leaves.
man, spending 45 minutes trying to get that thing to start is character building.
That's exactly right.
You feel like you're a mechanic afterwards. Like when somebody's car breaks down, you're like, hold up. I've jump started a lawnmower. I think I can help. You can't. It doesn't work that way.
Is there a thing I can pull on really hard and hope that starts it? All right. The last thing from IFA, which I should just run through real fast, was there were a few headphone and speaker announcements, but a couple were actually very cool. So I just want to basically call out two. One is new Jabra headphones. They're called the Elite 10s and the Elite 8s. They're basically new wireless earbuds. I think Jabra in general does not get the shine it deserves in the headphone space. Everybody talks about AirPods and Pixel Buds and Galaxy Buds and kind of all the stuff that's like bundled with devices. Jabra does a really good job of making just like very good headphones that work with everything. It supports like all of the open standards it can. It has really good noise cancellation. The mics tend to be pretty good. The battery life is
audio
pretty
is
good. Yeah, like they're very good headphones.
But they're
and
big.
I feel like
They sit like if you have tiny ear canals. That's why I don't use them. It's my ear canals.
so
are too small.
that's actually one of the things that I think is exciting about these new ones. The Elite 10s, which are the higher end one, I think they're $250. They have a like semi-open design, which in theory should help with that feeling of being sort of smushed in your ear. Personally, I end up using very few of those kind of closed ear headphones because I get the same thing. Like my ear canals start to hurt after a while if I listen to those. Like I got the
They just fall out.
Sony Link Buds and they like cause pain or they fall out. Yeah.
I love that pain that like you're like, oh, it fits so good. Agony.
Oh, yeah.
But this Taylor sounds lovely.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like after 30 minutes, I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose both of my ears. Like this is cool.
And they feel like they're bleeding.
Yeah, but so the Elite 10s seem cool, sound great. They have 6 mics, I think. The audio quality should be good. They're supposedly one of the best that Jabra's ever made. And then there's the Elite 8. I think it's technically called the Elite 8 Active, that are IP68 rated, which is like more or less everything you would need as a person.
Yeah, you can get disgusting. With
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can throw it in the wash and they'll come out fine.
You can mow the lawn.
And they're just super, super rugged. And personally, like I lost a pair of AirPods because I got caught in a rainstorm. I lost another pair of AirPods because I dropped one of them in a puddle and then put it back in the charger and it ruined everything. Which, if you're wondering, yes, it was stupid, but this is the life I lead.
You had to charge it.
Yeah.
Maybe
and
it
so
would
just,
work.
I like blew on it a bunch of times and then put it back in the case. And then about 45 minutes later, it was like, that was the dumbest thing I could have possibly done. But now here we are. But so the idea of like a super ruggedized pair of pretty good headphones, I actually sound very exciting. But they both do wireless charging. They both do multi-point Bluetooth. They both do the mono mode, so you can just wear one earbud at a time. They just like have all the features. And I think like in general, if you're shopping for wireless headphones, most people don't think of Jabra, and you should. But the other thing, which I think is much more exciting, is this new JBL, I think it's called the Authentics speaker.
Ooh,
the Authentics.
They look nice.
They do, right? The 200, the 300, and the 400. They're all stupid expensive. They're like anywhere from $330 to $700 for a Bluetooth speaker, which is preposterous.
Can't put a price on fashion.
But not only are they great looking, they have this like cool sort of fabric-y retro thing going on, but they also have Alexa and Google Assistant in one device and it can hear both wake words at the same time. You don't have to do the Sonos thing where in setup you pick which one you want to use. You can use both and you can tell it with one to start the music and with the other to stop the music. And they found some ways in which that gets weird. Like if you start a timer with Alexa and then you try to use Google to stop the timer, that doesn't quite work. But
it worked if the timer was going off, but if you like started a timer and then you're like, oh no, I didn't want to do that timer, and you try to tell it to stop. Yeah, John, like I guess he got to play with one, and apparently just had a whole list of ways he was going to screw with this thing.
I love it.
And just went through his whole list. He chronicled it all in his piece, and I was just like, yeah, just like chanting as I read it. It was great.
Yeah, his piece is really great, and he asked Google, like, should I take this as the beginning of a trend? Is this going to actually be the sort of interoperable voice assistant world we've been wanting to live in? And the Google representative was sort of sketchy about it.
And then ran
so
away fleeing.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, basically. But at least this proves that, like, this is a thing that can be done. And here's hoping that it's not just on this one set of expensive JBL speakers.
Do you think Sonos is going to do it at some point? Like a good version?
I think at this point, Sonos and Google are at such odds that I would be surprised if Google was interested in playing along with Sonos.
They would rather just get rid of it entirely if it would piss off.
But like,
customers.
Could the next UE Boom that I buy, because I'm inevitably going to buy 500 more of those in my life, could that have both? That would be awesome. Like the speaker world is big and wide. And imagine if you could have them with the Dolby stuff that worked all over your house, and you could talk to each individual one with whatever voice assistant you wanted. Like, how is that not the world we live in? This is the world we should live in.
That's the future. That's what I want. That's the interoperable future I want.
Yeah, I just want to yell whatever I want at my speakers, and they have to listen.
I
That's
do
your
not
job.
want to do that. I don't want to talk to my speakers ever about anything. But I do love these. They look incredible. Like if you remember how speakers looked, those old 70s and 80s speakers, you do have to look at these. Finally, someone's bringing that back. I don't know why they didn't before, but they are now, and I like it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
based
they're-
on the L100s, right, from the 70s.
Yeah, after like 2 decades of trying to make speakers look like spaceships, now we're back to making them look like speakers, and it makes me very happy. Like these look great. The one has a handle on it, which is basically just to remind you, like, yes, you can pick this thing up. It's allowed. They have actual knobs for all of the different levels. It's just wonderful. Like,
Yeah,
what a
I'm
world.
not saying that you should do cocaine off of these speakers, but like if you wanted to,
If you wanted to. Yeah, they've got some
it's-
good, there's some good flat spaces there for a nice line. We don't endorse cocaine on the Vergecast.
All right. Well, now that we've gone well and fully off the rails, it is time to end the Vergecast. Just in case this is the last episode you ever listen to, this is what I want to leave you with.
It's snowing somewhere.
All right. A lot of good stuff on the site this week. We had the most recent piece in our big series investigating the effect of Google in the world. Ryan Broderick wrote a really great piece called The End of the Googleverse. Really interesting. It's full of like old internet heads reminiscing on like the weird things people used to do with Google in the early 2000s. Yeah. It's really fun. Our video team and our producer, Andrew Marino, made an amazing video with one of those heads that does binaural audio and noise canceling headphones to like really test how good noise canceling is. It's a wild video with like lots of graphs that I didn't understand and tons of interesting people, and Andrew sweating to death on a summer in New York City. It's a really great video. Andrew also did another piece on the button of the month about a USB button that helped people win Jeopardy. It's delightful, and I want one just to like mute and unmute my microphone now. I have no use
want
for
one
it,
real bad.
but I want it. The latest Land of the Giants episode is out. It's about Tesla in China. It's very good. That whole season has been really great. Like Land of the Giants is always really great, but I actually think this might be my favorite season we've ever done. It's really good. Everybody just go listen to it. We are going to be off next Wednesday because it's Labor Day, but then we're going to be back next Friday. We're going to have more Apple to talk about. Like I said, there is just a massive tidal wave of gadgets and tech news coming in the next 3 months. So we're going to be doing a ton. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you then. Rock and roll.